Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting, riveting, and amazing Propagandacast with me, your host on Pearl Day, the one, the only master propaganda hero, psych defender of the fatherland of it all, 1v1, on Langraskaya. In the north, it is the one, the only, the Dezman, fighting for the Oberkommando West Germany, Deutschland here with Feuersturm. Forming up here with the 12th SS Panzerdivision Hitlerjugend with Flammpanzer 360 Hetzers, assault packages, incendiary munitions, Oberblitzes, and rocket barrages. In the south, it is Caesar, fighting for the British Empire. The Commonwealth, here going off the 1st Canadian Infantry Division with tactical support featuring raid sections, designate command vehicles, air resupply operations, fort observation posts, and the Crocodile flamethrower tank. A focus fort following up for Dezman, raid sections there of course for Caesar on top of some sappers, and as always a big hearty thanks to my patron supporters, wonderful people, and all of without them and support the Propagandacast would not be possible, so thanks to every single one of those. Other people can join the ranks by Patreon the souls, become part of the Propaganda Legion, support the worth it, or they can donate via PayPal, links in the description. Or if you're considering pre-ordering Companies 3, you can do so via the link in the comments, use the code Coh2 as it's written there. And I get a cut of the sale, about 15%, so that's kind of nice for me. And I also feed the YouTube algorithms by commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing. So, in the west side here, Caesar's putting most of his infantry. The east side, he was trying to probe here against Dezman, but Dezman's Kubelwagen there put a decisive Teutonic stop to that. Folks coming up here, sandbags up, more raid sections here for Caesar, likely going to be the 3 raid section build that is popular with some British players, like they just, go for 8 sections. I think the only interesting bit he's actually gone for a sapper section as well, but otherwise it's fairly so far standard there from Caesar, relying on the more aggressive nature of the raid sections, also a bit more disruptive with access to mines and Molotovs. Plus sprint, I don't actually think I've ever seen anyone actually use that sprint ability here. Lots of barbed wire here, moving into wire off in a turn. So far, very light skirmishing. No major engagements as yet, but that may just change now here as Caesar is finally getting ready to hit the German lines proper. Bit of skirmish around the carve point here as Caesar makes a push from several sides. Got the Dezman's Futzkons looking to meet and stop that. He may have to reinforce the carve point there with more troops, as Caesar is pretty determined here about getting to the point. Loses the first man here. Hammond drops dead. Here another loss has also been inflicted there. More Futzkons here for Dezman. No third rate section there for Caesar, but that could still happen here in a few seconds. There we go. Will he press the button? Will he not? The fate of the British Empire hangs in the balance. Probably not over that, though. And there you go. Third rate section off here. Sappers there around the foot because the 2 depleted. Sturmpuni now being rushed in. Kubelwagen there holding up the other raid section on healthy. Carve point, though, is going to be rendered neutral, cutting off Dezman there from precious and vital resources here. Troops sending out, they're reinforced here. Sturmpuni looking to hit the sappers from an angle where, of course, they're not going to get ripped apart too easily. Kubelwagen going for the carve, and there we go. Third rate section there, stopping Dezman's cut-off raid. And there goes sappers routed here by Dezman and Deutschland. The south here, troops reinforcing. A lot of raid section, they need reinforcements. Some of them could also maybe do with some healing in the future. Kubelwagen there being fixed up as it grabs the point. And here we got the truckling forts there for Dezman. Could be mechanized, could be battle group headquarters. Both are very much possibilities here with Feuersturm. Some players, in fact, will specifically go for Feuersturm if they're going mechanized. That way they can use the Blitz as an ambulance. That way, not having to go for the battle group headquarters at all. East side here, raid sections moving out there. Caesar ready to switch angle of attack here against Dezman. I think that is a fairly sharp play. Then we do get the battle group headquarters for Dezman, so probably no Oberblitz, and to that point he'd be using it more to motorize his infantry, and most players tend not to be huge fans of motorization and motorized infantry tactics, at least in my opinion. I mean, they're barely fans of mechanized infantry play, so motorization is definitely beyond them. Sandbags in the west, center being also sandbagged up is secured. Dezman there quickly establishing victory point hegemony over his English opponent. Fuel points have been lost to the English up. The Inselaffen. Sturmpuni up here. Sappers ready to fend off the Bosch, but they are quite low and healthy and will likely get wiped out by the Sturmpuni if they prolong their engagement for too long. Back here, tech down there for Caesar. I would not be surprised if some medics from soon. Typically tends to be a crucial part of this particular kind of strategy. You go for some medics fairly early on, so they can that way start healing up the troops. we'll have to see if that is what Caesar actually does. But the fuel put again being hit there definitely slows things down. Of course, it does also actually area supply of rations. That causes another thing you get healing from. So, plus mortars and an anti-tank gun. So there's a bit more utility there. On the west side here, Dezman being slowed down. There you go. Actually spending 40 of the raid section. Thumbs up to Caesar. Going in for the British Empire for king and country. In the east, the raid section being slowed out here in the face of Dezman and Deutschland. And a quick switch water center here from the raid section right into the Volksgrenadier. Quick power Brandhandgranate there, or the British quick pop, or the English, or the raid section pop Molotov. Rushing straight at the Volksgrenadiers, pushing them back here. And we got mines here from Mr. Caesar. Straight push on the carp one there. We'll need to counterattack immediately. Battle headquarters fully upgraded, but no flak half tracks yet. Again, the fuel rationing for Caesar has definitely slowed down Dezman's ability to get a fast flak half track, so thumbs up to that. And we got MP40s here for Dezman. Lots of MP40s or assault packages. Going aggressive against his opponent there, clearly. Kugelwagen being fixed up, raid section being bled out here. Could risk some casualties there if he's not careful. Fult's going to be backed up with the Kugelwagen charging in. And there you go, routed. And these got the raid section pushing towards the fuel point. Fult's rushing the building here. But really rough start for Dezman so far versus Caesar. Really rough start. He will need to do something a bit more drastic here versus Caesar. Bring in some guns that can really put the fear of Deutschland into Caesar. MD-34 on the way to up deal with the infantry. Not a bad idea. No armoured cars here for Caesar. I would not be surprised to end up seeing a tier rush there on the company command post rush from him to push out maybe a fast Centaur. Or a fast Cromwell. Got the Fulton with the MP40s flanking the raid section there. The point there. MD-34 was done. There we go. Second MP40 up. Set of upgrades here. Ready. Charging at the raid section. Then pushing them back quickly and swiftly. Straight into mine, and of course mortar fire here. A double whammy there on Dezman. That's it, the support woman's exposed, that's it. Dezman will hit some mine there, otherwise wasn't going to risk it there. Ends up proving very smart there. So, I would not be surprised to end up not seeing a flak half track at this point for Dezman. Like, he's already so far behind on fuel there. Again, he's going to be vulnerable to like a fast armor rush here by Caesar. So, I think just, pursuing fuel for like some relatively fast medium armor for his current circumstances is probably going to be the wiser choice. And there you go, big push here by Caesar through the center. No machine guns. In fact, machines all the way over in the east, despite Caesar applying fairly consistent pressure alongside this axis. I mean, I can get to a degree the logic of it, but ooh, got a grenade there. It's a bit of German grenade, yeah. Steelhand grenade there. Machine needs to move up here. It could, of course, be wants to flank into Caesar's side here. I don't know. I think he needs to make that decision. There you go. Slightly catches some of the troops. Everything you've had 4 folks up behind here. Caesar's lines advance here. Could catch Caesar in a pretty bad spot. He do some heavy damage to the English. To the Canadians. They could activate. There you go. Grenade off you. Good shot there. Good shot. Grenade on the other section here. Could see further losses in Caesar. And there we go. Men are bleeding out in them droves. No wipes here though on Caesar, but nonetheless significant casualty inflicted on the 1st Canadian Infantry Division, which did actually in Normandy and some fairly regular fights with the 12th SS, and they were pretty brutal on both sides. Whatever the reputation the Canadians have nowadays, back then they had a bit more reputation of being some pretty nasty fellows, if I remember correctly. Anyways, shot on the way there for Dezman. 6-pounder main caught here by the Volksgrenadier with MP40s. Couldn't help the machine gun here to get the point here as well. Be a bit more active as a Caesar. There you go. Got the carve point, deploying smoke here to fall back. Sends what they would call to be to try and make him think he's falling back and bait him into the range of the MP40s. Certainly a bit of mind games there. That's it. There's a lot of raid sections here. So I think he's going to have to just fall back with the Volksgrenadiers anyway. Still, bit more disruptive push here. That's it. Without the center victory point, it doesn't actually matter so much because that also acts as a secondary carve point there. But there you go. Now, however briefly, Caesar's been cut off from his fuel, but that said, he's already got his company command post up that he'll be pushing from soon. Center or Cromwell. And Dezman doesn't even have a single Raketenwerfer. So Dezman is about to have a very uncomfortable experience. We'll need Raketenwerfers, multiples. Schwere punted quarters, though, is definitely not a bad idea, but he's going to need anti-tank weapons, and he's going to need them very badly. Panther Strike, I think, is also going to be a most in them. And their grenade off in the raid section. Heavy losses inflicted there. Molotov at the advancing Sturmpionier. Not enough to stop here. Dezman and his Sturmpionier. Eastern field being grabbed here by the sappers again. West side, though, Dezman makes a raid here with the Kugelwagen, at least looking to hit Caesar's fuel point where it hurts. Fult's being headed eastward to deal with the sappers there. Eventually, 2 MP40s at the ready. Centaur and Techcraft tank there for Caesar. That's going to be a real nightmare for Dezman, as again, I stress, he has no anti-tank weapons. And the Centaur can definitely do some heavy damage to infantry. So there, go ahead in the car point there. Ground western point the Kugelwagen. Some success here for Dezman again, in part due to the sheer amount of DPS the MP40 Fultz can unleash. The MP40 was a fairly excellent, but also cheap and easy to make submachine gun. In fact, that was typically what the British actually tried to copy when they made the stun gun. That was just this ease of manufacturing submachine. In fact, they made, in a sense, a more simplified version of the MP40, which the Germans would later try and make an even more simplified version of with the MP3000. And I think that was also there. But anyways, which is a really ugly submachine gun as well. But that's a little fun fact there. The Germans also, I think, actually kind of fond of the stun gun. In part because of the magazine sticking out to the side, which made it easy to use it from a prone position. So a little fun fact there. Centaur rushing forward to the Caesar. Probably also because in some cases they had more easy access to this MP or the stun gun than the MP40. Eastern side being grabbed here though by Dezman. Really strong map control, but of course that is now being thrown to the wind here as Caesar charges forward here with the Centaur. We do have a Panther Strike here, and we do have a Raketenwerfer on the way there, so Dezman is not completely up against the wall here against the Centaur, but it's still going to get a bit rough. It does have the Schwerpunkt quarters fully authorized as well. Some Obersoldaten could be a very good addition here for Dezman. I would definitely not advance the Flammheads right now. But down the road, it could be a nice thing just burning through Caesar's forces. Another push forward here for Caesar, though. Broad attempt here for the center. Some smoke being deployed by the mortar could be a good here as well. Machine gun back in the building in the east. And once more, though, Caesar just goes straight for the car upon. This time, of course, the Schwerpunkt quarters makes it fairly more difficult for Caesar to achieve such a cut-off point rush here. Artillery fire in the section there. Good hit. Half health in the section, more or less. West side there, Sabs laying down mines. We've got the raid sections running about here. Regaining the western field point as well here. And there you go. Dezman exploiting this. Push into the center flank end from the east. Try and get behind Caesar's front line. Grenades off as well here. 2 sections plus the mortar on route. The center, of course, remains a problem here for Dezman, but still he could, I think, threaten the calf point at least somewhat. Could be an idea. He's still some time away from any armor. Kugelwagen being fixed up. Vickers machine gun there for Caesar to help contain the German assault troops. As again, a lot of MP40 Volkskonvois can typically be very bad news if they catch you in the wrong place. Vickers halfway done. Grab the center of the Volksgrenadier. Mines down. There we go, getting the Volks over the center. MG almost done there for Caesar. Telephone bringing down Death. Bounces off the top of the Centaur. Probably wouldn't have had that like an actual wall, because again, tanks still were not also, particularly heavily armored on the top, but also particularly this time it's an open top turret, so, the gunner likely would have been dead, but obviously try balancing that in the game. Or for that matter, making it work in the first place. Anyway, center there, close to veteran one already, 3 kills. Good shot there from the Raketenwerfer on the center. Panther Strike there was a few moments off there. Vicker setting up here. Could get smoked by the light infantry gun or the Volksgrenadier. Could also get hit with an incendiary barrage. Grenade on the raid section. Close one there, 2 men dead. And the west side, he fought to hit by a mine and stop the section there. Caesar remains dug in for the British Empire. Light infantry gun Stefan Way, 2 kills, close to veterans 1. And medics here for Caesar. Big assault against the advancing Germans in the center there. Kugelwagen moving up. 7 kills there, veteran 2. An assault officer could be a good addition here for Caesar. Would give us some more offensive elements here, something they can further exploit gaps here in Dezman's lines. And Dezman commits to a second light infantry gun, going further into some more grindy attritional warfare. They could of course also lay down some thicker smoke screens if we were to make an assault with that, so I mean, could go either way here with it. Part of me would actually prefer though to see some orbital darting, as they would serve as, I think, as an excellent supporting element in offensive, and of course, just a strong offensive element themselves. So artillery ring down here on Caesar Center here. Doesn't really hit anything, but kind of messes up with his ability to just move through freely here. And there you go. Vic has been caught in the fires of the Third Reich. Second lightning gun out here for Dezman. Center among forts could go for the Panther Fauna or the Yak Panther. Of course, Dezman could also decide he wants the Panther. Around the western victory point, we got 447 to 310. Center rolling back here. Another rocket never hit here. Vacant center remains a pretty obnoxious hard point here. Could drop a smoke grenade, could drop smoke shells. Just bombarded. Plenty of options here for Dezman to put this machine gun out of commission, but by now, I think Caesar, of course, is aware it's going to be the target of German attention, and is repositioning. Thumbs up there to Caesar. The opportunity I think Dezman had for clearly dealing with that one, long gone now. Switching up the eastern side, good maneuvering here by Caesar. It's also worth pointing out he's very good, I think, at sort of switching his axis of attack against Dezman, where it figures Dezman is less likely to activate defense formed up. So that is very smart play here by Caesar. Thumbs up. Very commendable no matter what faction you're playing. And there you go, nice grenade killing 2 raid section members. With the Fultons there go near ace level. Raid section definitely in trouble here. We got Molotovs on the raid section. Guess someone's a bit fumble-fingered there. Hammond! What's there? Section there. Routing the Volksgrenadier. Chops caught here by the enemy third force suppressed. The veteran one gaining the MG-34. And there you go, pushed off the fuel point. But again, the damage has been done to Dezman and his economy. Cromwell almost done there for Caesar and the British Empire. Another fun fact about the Canadians and the British, particularly Normandy, was by Normandy the British were actually starting to suffer a rather severe shortage in junior officers, things like lieutenants. And so they actually had to ask Canadians to, lend them some junior officers, because again they just didn't have enough of their own, because they just kept dropping, the whole stiff upper lip thing. And this actually confused the Germans, because they can't tell a Canadian accent apart from the German, or American accent, not a German one. And so they actually thought at times they'd be up against the Americans because of these, Canadian lieutenants running around there barking orders. So, fun fact there. Panther on the weather for Dezman. Die Panzerkampfwagen 5. West side, they got the section up here for Caesar. Better Panther than the Cromwell. 2 kills. And the 2/3 away down here for Dezman and for Deutschland. Six-pound gun holding up here. Six moving forwards here, close to Veteran 3. We also got the Vickers K upgrade there now for those raid sections going up. Panther flies off, hits bugger all. Panther arrives here for Dezman and for Deutschland, the Panzerkampfwagen 5. East side there we got the full catch on the raid section here. MP40 stripping through the Unfortunates. Doing a lot of damage here, routing the raid section. Center flank through the center here. 4 kills. Veterans on the west side there, firmly in British control. Great hit from the Cromwell here, almost getting wiped the Fulton squad there. Pulling back with the Cromwell, Panther moving forwards. Pinned him up machine gun there on the way there. Don't see how many more Vickers K upgrades we get here for Caesar. There you go. Stop with the 6-pounder gun and the sapper there. Panther has to fall back. So only also, I think one thing I probably won't miss too much in Companies 2 and Companies 3. From Companies 2 and Companies 3 is, I think snares are perhaps also a bit too powerful, particularly when it comes to like heavy armor, like just a bit of damage, you can boom snap an engine. I think also helps render, stuff like Panthers a lot less efficient. Or for that matter, Tiger tanks and whatnot. Troops sending out here for Dezman. I mean, I was just going to make a case for the Panther that should suffer it, because again, they had a lot of issues with the engines, but I do think, one thing I'm looking forward to is just less overall wildly powerful snares in Company 3. You're soon holding up. Instant ammunition has been loaded up. Panther good to go. Firing the mortar. Panther moving forwards. Big as was the Fultz Grenadiers. And go raid section halted, routed, jumping out the flank here. Big raid flank section flank here on Dezman's right flank. Good push there, but Caesar center there. We got smoke deployed here. West side, another push towards here. Cook, pop a grenade here, or smoke grenade on the trench, honestly. There you go. Popping grenade here. Good bit of damage there, push them out. There you go, good threat to the eastern field here by Caesar, very good. Crom moving up, fixing up the center. Panther pushing eastwards. Shot fire at the raid section. West side, there we got points being grabbed. T-Crom moving up, engaging there. Putting in points left here for Caesar. Crom right here, the foot on the far west. Good play there by Caesar. Again, overall aggressive mobile. And basically just keeping Dezman on his toes. Constantly having like guess where Caesar might strike next. And certainly I think to a degree punishing Dezman for being too static and defensive. Charging at the Fultz raid section of the Fultz Sea. 27 kills. Doing a lot of damage on the MP40s. 28. Get 29 here. Maybe, you know what? Probably not. Yeah, avoids it. But the 6-pounder gun now is actually in some deep Salisbury stake here. And could get wiped out here by the Fultz Grenadiers. That'd be a good kill there for Dezman. He could even salvage it. Which would certainly not be a problem. They could, of course, just destroy it and then salvage it. No additional sign of army for Dezman, though. As for Caesar, what is he planning? We are not seeing any sort of medium armor or fireflies. Could be planning anvil chances. Could be planning a crocodile. There's certainly a few options here for Caesar to pursue versus Dezman. Sappers with PS going hunting in for the Panther. Ooh, rear armor exposed. That's going to hurt. And that's going to be filled up with Ace. Anti-tank grenade on the Panther. To half fill for the damaged engine. Less great for Dezman. But pretty good for Caesar. And again, Eastern Fupon lost here. I definitely think Dezman needs more infantry. I mean, he's got plenty of manpower. Some orbital laden here again would be a very strong addition versus Caesar's current force composition. Need a concussive grenade here, I think. Yeah, too much going on there for Dezman thing to keep track of here. Sapper suppressed, push back. Got 209, 84. Caesar is getting back on those lost victory points here versus Dezman. Go to the raid section. Quick Molotov here. Almost got the raid section there, but they are forced back. Cromwell right in the center. Kenworth lining up here, and good shot then the Cromwell, grabbing the eastern victory point. Panther need to repair, so Kenworth from over for Dezman. Firefly here for Caesar. Didn't then go for one. I was starting to expect a Commodore Crocodile here from Caesar, but Firefly is obviously also a nice addition, particularly as the Panther. But I definitely feel like Dezman is getting more and more defensive. The fact he's going for a Kenworth here further plays into this. But I definitely think he should be going forward, and I think he should try and, wrest control and initiative away here from Caesar. But currently, he's kind of just doing the opposite. He's just handing more initiative and control over to Caesar and the British, which I think is the exact opposite of what Dezman should be looking to achieve, in particular as the Obo Commander West. Troops suppressed here and pinned down by the ME-34. Around western point here with the Fultz Grenadier. A lot of insanity being unleashed here by Caesar. I mean, Dezman against Caesar. It's like he wants to put a starting part to the mortar, but also an attempt to grab the center here. Lighting up the front line there. Like an overdone turkey. 5 flaming forts there, center falling back in the west. Fultz Grenadiers sending out, Panther moving up the eastern side here. And we get a Flamheader for Dezman. That's a bit of a surprise. That's simply not something you'd see at this stage of the game. I mean, it's going to be obviously going to be, I think, fairly useful as the infantry support weapons, but I'm still surprised at it. Still fairly surprised at it. Pleasantly so. That's it, Dezman really needs to get, like, sink his claws in some of these victory points soon. Plus, of course, a few point. The current state of affairs is just not working out for Dezman. But also, when you compare it to, like, how Caesar's doing, like, Dezman, I think, is going about in a slightly less imaginative ways, whereas, again, Caesar's, like, pretty good, like, you know, finding a gap and exploiting it. Dezman is just, you know, going straight ahead against Caesar, which only benefits Caesar more. That catches the Vikings in a bad angle. Not entirely sure that was more by accident than by intent, though. Grab the Panther, will grab the field point. I'll fix it up. The Panther will grab the field point. Flammhands is almost done here for Dezman and Deutschland. Sappers things we hits. Stillhandgranate in advancing. Sappers attack. Bit off the mark, but they're still suppressed. And there you go. Panther wing forwards. Routing them. Kron being pushed back. In the center, we got the center rushing 40 out maneuvering here. And there you go. The Kubelwagen finally goes down. Mopped up there by the raid section. 16 kills. But Kedmeyev also in trouble. Need to get the Panther towards the center, but the east side is being tied up here by the Firefly. And the Cromwell there, full squad about to get wiped out. Like Kedmeyev a bit of a tough spot here. Flamheads is out. Cromwell down to half health here. Casualties are being inflicted and Caesar lost some units there, but the Panther's about to get knocked out here. Got stunned here with the Tulip rockets. Got the Cromwell, but loses the Panther. Is obviously not going to be worth it here for Dezman in the slightest. Great kill here for Caesar. Definitely punishing Dezman there for some less than solid Panther handling here. And trading a Cromwell for a Panther is a pretty good trade-off here for Caesar, to be honest, in particular under current circumstances economically. We'll have to see plans next. The Flamheads that I think should be used to, clear out the western victory point here. Maybe try to open up a bit of the front line there. Another Cromwell there for Caesar. Society doesn't need anything bigger. Don't blame him for that. Kubang being salvaged. Dezman realizing, of course, he needs a lot of fuel. No matter how he gets it, he needs it. He takes on the Flamheads up. Good shot there. Almost wiping it out. Half-flowing hit, good shot on the Flamheads up. Getting pelted with Pied fire as well there. Not quite getting much out of it. Sturmpini trying to keep up here on the Firefly with the Raketenpanzerbüchse. Center here. Could try and use strafing fire against the two as they kind of bunched up, but they could be done that. Instead, though, table turns in Caesar, except the signal kind of a miss in the center. May just live to see another day. Some great luck here for Caesar, at least for now. You can see there the Dezman setting up with the Panzer team. He wanted that, but there you go. Vic is being set up to cover the retreat of the center. Kron marching force as well here. And Dezman's attempt to catch the center goes up in flames or down the sink, how you want to put it. Firefly there flanks the Flamhead, so almost takes it out there. Narrowly survives that one. Almost got the Firefly there, but again, like the Centaur, Caesar is narrowly able to wiggle it out of that particularly nasty spot. Flamheadson, tiny to repairs. Stillhandgranate there to flush out the English. Tried to pop into the trench, I think, if you were quick enough, but no, wasn't. You got 156 versus 284. Need to fix up the Flamheadser schnell. Machine gun in trouble, full to cover the flank, I think, there. But yeah, it's a really bad spot here to be in for Dezman in the center. A really bad spot. 37 kills in these full to again. MP40 full guns can really do a lot of damage if you handle them well. There you go, 40 kills. They may not be stormtroopers, but they can definitely make the mark. In my experience, they can definitely make the mark. Enforcing healing, Flamheads being repaired. Fun fact about the heads in general, while they had like fairly, solid frontal armor of 60mm of pretty sloped armor, which actually gave like roughly, the equivalent frontal armor of a Panther, the side armor on the heads was actually equivalent to that of a 251 half-track. Like, it was really thin. So, little fun fact there about the headser and the Flamheadser. Little fun fact there. Push and send here till firing down there on the raid section. Eastland and the other gentleman Vickers holding up here. Dezman really needs to do something drastic here, but he's so far just sticking to, like, you know, what he's been doing for, like, you know, the last several minutes, which is just attacking head-on into the guns of Caesar and just hoping to get lucky. AKA the tug-of-war principle, in a sense. The Melchett approach, I guess. But also crucially, not even, like, despite having 2 lines of guns, does it actually at any point deploys smoke screens for some cars and tactics. So definitely I think some room there for Dezman to improve his tactics here against future opponents here. Because it certainly made things only, I think, easier for Caesar in a lot of respects. Whereas in comparison, I think Caesar displayed some really solid infantry tactics and overall approaches versus Dezman. Firefly, they're gaining actually 2. Okay, they're gaining actually 4 in return. Blade takes in trouble with the Flamheads, but of course the Flamheads in return is trouble with the Firefly. Yak Panzer here for Dezman. That's definitely not a bad idea. Definitely not a bad idea. I still think he needs to start applying his artillery a bit more effectively and efficiently. And he also needs to, like, start applying more pressure on the left flank here against Caesar. Sturm Pioneer dropping up Panzerschreck. Need to pull back the Flamhead so that it's not going to last against any British armour. Good shot there right through the frontal armour, though probably a Cromwell tank would have struggled a lot with the Hetzer's frontal armour. Due to, again, the very sloped frontal armour there. Got it knocked out there. Yak Panzer almost done there for Dezman. Panzerschreck drop, but yeah, it's looking increasingly bad here for Dezman. Things are falling apart, and again, just tactically, he's stuck in a rut here versus Caesar. Is very much stuck in a rut, in a tactical dead end, if you will. And Caesar, of course, is just further and further just exploiting all the gaps that are appearing in Dezman's lines efficiently and just applying a world of hurt to him. There you go. Yak Panzer the Ryan came with this high velocity sent from the guns to the Panther here. But probably at this stage won't be enough to bail out Dezman from the current, well, mess he's in. And we got there Caesar with the MD-34 as well. They could grab the Panzerschreck too, which of course will only further serve to complicate the already messy situation for Dezman and the 12th SS. Far flowing up there. Looking forwards here. Good shot there on the Firefly. Veterans 1 gain there on the Yak Panzer. Pretty brutal stuff here though. 59 versus 284. Near Easel on that centre. Good work there with Caesar.
The enemy's taken a proper thrashing. He's down to only 50 points.
Then to the centre there. The Kedenaffer. Could even use strafing fire. One thing though, again, Caesar has been making much use of it here. Minor point to make. And he does get it though, but I just don't think it's going to matter much for Dezman at this point. He's down to like 35, 32, and there you go. Pops up. GG, game over. A loss here for Dezman. A victory for Caesar. A brutal fight here. Dezman definitely had, I think, sort of the early mid-game, but after a certain point, he just kind of dropped the ball there tactically. He got outmaneuvered, but Caesar, I think, was quite good late. Just finding the spots where Dezman wasn't ready, attacking there, applying force much more efficiently. Whereas Dezman, when it came to him to attack, he would just go in straight lines. He wouldn't practically refuse to outmaneuver his opponent. He wouldn't use smoke. And in this regard, Dezman was clearly a player who was relying on the idea of getting sort of, shall I say, the early edge and then just stalling out against his opponent. But once Caesar denied him that ability, Dezman just revealed himself as like a player who just doesn't know how to, like, you know, play aggressively after a certain point. Like tactically, it just kind of fell apart there. And Caesar, of course, meanwhile proved himself to be a much more flexible player. So thumbs up there to Caesar. I think a lot to learn here from him. So hope you enjoyed this match. I'll learn something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment on it. Tell your friends, tell your family, but don't tell enemies. This is Imperial LinkedIn. Cheers. Thank you for watching. Till tomorrow again for another episode. Bye.